Prepare yourself for List Off, the gaming podcast where your hosts, Brian and Ryan, rank the things they love. 3, 2, 1, List Off!
This week, we're going to break some blocks, kick some shells, and eat some mushrooms with our top 5 Mario levels. And we are joined this week with Morgan Remington. He is a streamer of the Intergalactic Pinecone. How's it going, Morgan?
Doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing great. And joined, as always, with Ryan. How are you doing, Ryan?
I am swell.
That is great. That's always good to hear.
Thanks. Good intro, too. I am feeling kind of loopy. We ate a bunch of mushrooms, so we'll see how this goes, right?
I ate a green one.
Portobello.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Of course.
So Morgan, can you tell us a little bit about your escapades online?
Yeah, so I'm Morgan Remington. I have a Twitch channel and YouTube channel called Intergalactic Pinecone, and I'm a bit of a platform gamer, which is probably why I'm on in this episode. I like to stream games, and I like to say I'm a variety streamer, but let's be real. 9 times out of 10 that you're on my channel, I'm playing Mario or I'm playing Spyro or Crash. So it's just sort of like what I followed into, the niche that I have. And, I stream Monday through Friday on Twitch, and then whatever I deem worthy for an update or a discussion, that goes on YouTube. So that's what I've got going on.
Sweet. Yeah, cool. I checked out one of your streams where you were playing Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island.
Yes.
That was good.
Yeah, it's not always easy for me to catch Twitch streams, but I have checked out a lot of your YouTube videos, saw you playing Crash among other games, and man, you are very skilled too when it comes to those platformers. I've noticed way more skilled than I am anyway.
It's unfortunate because I am skilled, but I'm right before the skill level where it's marketable.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't say I'm a speedrunner. I couldn't say that I'm anything like that, which is unfortunate because I've noticed on the search bar, my analytics, it says people find me through speedrunning. And I'm like, if only I was a little bit better. I bet you I could one day. I don't know.
I'm sure of it. Like, just having seen you play, I'm sure if you honed those skills, you could do it. Yeah, for sure. In time. So you play any games?
I was going to say, yeah.
I stole your thunder, Brian.
Nah, you're good. You good.
It's the perfect time for me to talk about this, being a platform streamer and all. I think it's pretty ubiquitous to say that everybody's playing Elden Ring at this point, right? I mean, who isn't?
Two out of 3 people are.
Yeah.
Well.
It's only because of Horizon. I'm playing that. And I'll talk about that a little bit, but yeah.
So Elden Ring actually has platforming in it, which is a first for the Souls series. And when I saw, all the trailers and stuff, I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm sure there'll be a couple of weird jumps you have to make. No, man. Like, all the dungeons and the legacy dungeons, you jump around and you're going to find some secret stuff. You're going to get shortcuts. You're going to get really good weapons. Like they've done a really good job from software of making it worth your while to go out of your way to explore stuff. And I typically hate open world games. It's my least favorite genre by far. Like, I will play anything over that. But this game has got me a little twisted up. Elden Ring has got me twisted up because, like, for the first time, I think I'm feeling what other people are feeling when they're playing these open world games. There's this sense of mystery and exploration where, for no real good reason at all, I will just go and walk in a direction because something looks slightly interesting. And I think that's a triumph of game design. And I only have a limited time with it so far, 30 or 40 hours. But from what I have experienced, I really am starting to think maybe the hype is real. This might be the one.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with you. I've been playing Elden Ring this week. I do think it is that generational, Brian, you've said it. It's that type of game where it will stick with you. It's doing something with that specific genre, that Soulsborne genre that people didn't really think could be done, making it an open world game. It is a very compelling open world. I think that's the biggest difference. It's fully formed. There are things that draw your attention everywhere. And Breath of the Wild kind of had a similar build in that way, but this is not nearly as empty as that world was. I feel like I just talked about this because we recorded an episode where I talked at length about Elden Ring on another podcast. But I will say for the people listening here, it does such a good job with how dense the world is, not only with how full it is of things to interact with, but also that there are a lot of like peaks and valleys, and that makes up the surface level of the world. But then you also have the buildings, those dungeons, those legacy dungeons, and there are so many underground passages, catacombs, caves. They're everywhere. And it is almost like that other level to the world that is just as vast as the surface one. It's really incredible. I think one of the second kind of area you get into really does a good job of forcing you to experience that platforming. There are some parts where it's like very obvious you have to get to here, and you're not going to get there unless you jump along a certain path. And it's cool that it's that design that leads you into learning that aspect of the gameplay. You really can't avoid it if you want to continue playing. And then you start going back to areas you were before and thinking, wait a minute, like, can I jump there? And sure enough, you can. And there's some surprise waiting for you there. And I think that's what you said. You just keep wanting to see what's next, right? You keep exploring and you keep seeing something to go after. And I think the game does a good job of rewarding you with that. It never seems like you're doing it for nothing. It's never a trivial reward. It's never like a Korok seed where you could collect 900 of them and all you get is a big pile of poo, right? It always seems like you get something tangible, be it a piece of armor, a weapon, or a crafting supply that will help you level up armor and weapons and things of that nature. I just think it's phenomenal. I don't want to say it's one of the best games I've ever played, but at this point, and I know there's a lot of recency bias involved, but at this point, it's easy for me to say that. I think the character design as well is so inventive. And I mentioned this to Brian, it does such a good job of controlling what you see that first area you start out in, I spent hours upon hours exploring it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I've never been around that corner of the mountain. And I do that, and boom, all of it. It's like you see this crazy thing in the distance that you had been there the whole time, and you feel like you've been around that area numerous times, but just never looked in the right direction and saw it. And it's constantly surprising me. It's a special game, and I'm so happy to have somebody to share that joy with, who understands what I'm talking about when I talk about Elden Ring, man.
I'll get there eventually.
I hope so.
That's my whole thing right now is, if I played Elden Ring, I wouldn't play Horizon. And I want to experience both. And Horizon was always really special to me. I loved that game. I played it, then Breath of the Wild, and then went back to it to actually tear into it. Yeah. And yeah, this game has been really good. I just want to ask one thing, because Morgan, if I'm not mistaken, you have multiple runs going on at once right now. Is that right?
5 now.
Oh, wow.
5 runs. So
it was 3, then it was 4. Now it's 5.
What builds are you playing with really quickly?
Okay, so I've got 2 magic builds.
Right.
I have 1 full strength build. Today I just started a full bleed build.
Oh wow, yeah, that's pretty powerful in this game.
It's way too good. They're gonna nerf it. Don't get too comfy if you're using a bleed build right now. It's getting nerfed. And then I started a faith build, but I just don't really know. That's the one I feel the least sure about.
I'm glad, because I started a faith build. I was a prophet. It's my one playthrough that I'm going for right now. And man, you are almost severely underpowered at the beginning of the game, especially if you can't refill your MP, right? But it does have a really tough slog for the first 6 hours, and then it starts picking up. But about hour 15, you're like, okay, this is going to be like crazy. The things I can do now are unstoppable to some enemies. And
I have picked up some pretty cool looking faith weapons and spells, so I'm excited for the future to see what we see.
Morgan, are you playing on PS5 or PC?
So that's interesting. I started playing on the PS5. This is one of those cases where you hear the Digital Foundry video, you hear the scuttlebutt online, you hear about the performance issues. Normally, I am not very sensitive to that thing. I'm a console gamer through and through. I don't really care how it looks. I am noticing some weirdness on the PS5 that I actually am not a fan of at all. Mm-hmm. The 45 to 60 frame per second inconsistency is there. And even I can notice it. And I am not like, I thought it would be imperceptible, but it is very obvious. And you get used to it, you adjust to it. It's not a deal breaker, but there's this like juddery feeling. And in fact, today on my stream, as of the time of recording this, I decided, let's play the PS4 version on the PS5 because I'm ready to see the differences. It's one thing to watch it on a YouTube video. It's a whole other to experience it yourself.
Yeah.
I have to say, I do think right now, if you want to have the best experience possible on Elden Ring, playing the PS4 version of the app on the PS5 seems to be the way to go because, I mean, the graphical difference is there, sure, but it's not like this wide gulf. It's not this huge deal. And finally, you get something that's smooth and buttery, and this is a game where you need that.
Yeah, I can agree. I think you hit the nail on the head. It is that in between 45 and 60, and you do notice when it dips under 60, but it was never stuttering for me. It was never to a point where it was like, oh, this is below 30. Like it was never in your face obvious. And most of the time I'm too engrossed in like the action on the screen to really notice. But the one thing I started having issues with recently was environmental pop-in. And like, I didn't experience that in my first 10 or so hours. It seems like they've done something to improve the frame rate in the last day or so. But now I'm experiencing that, like, all of a sudden when you fast travel to a different location, like you see the stuff, like the trees and the foliage load in, and it's like, wait, what? But it's done like that.
That's what convinced me. That's what convinced me to do the PS4 version. Because I started loading into some of these later areas. I literally loaded in with no floor.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? So I was like, okay, enough is enough. Let's see what's going on the other side of the, greener grass and all that.
Yeah, I might have to give it a shot. I'm guessing it keeps your save file, right? Like you can still transfer that, or
I don't know if you can transfer from to, but I know you can transfer from PS4 to PS5.
So I'm going to keep the PS5 version because I am not going back. If I'm going back, it's to restart a whole nother playthrough. But
probably a good idea.
Yeah. Sorry,
well, I hope they get that fixed because that's kind of disappointing, and that's the reason that I'm going to get it on PC, and I want to hopefully wait until that's fixed because that seems like probably the worst way to play right now. Yeah. But I mean, by the time I get around to it, I'm hopeful that it'll be resolved, but we'll see.
I mean, the sales numbers are just too outrageous for this thing. They're going to do full multi-year support. We're going to see expansion packs. Being patient on this one is going to pay off. I think it's not going to be a bad idea at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Horizon has suffered a lot of the same things you're talking about. With the pop-in especially when you're having conversations with characters, other characters will just pop in every once in a while, and that's not great to see. But everything else, is so nice to look at. So yeah, that's one of the biggest things I think Horizon's got going for it is those graphics. And then the gameplay is always really good. I feel like I just talked about it too, Ryan. We talked about it on another podcast, but yeah, I've also talked about this for multiple weeks now since it's been out for a bit longer. But that's my game plan. Play through this, beat it, and then probably get the PC version of Elden Ring and hope for the best. So
well, it's like you said to me too. I think it works both ways. That I want to experience Horizon Forbidden West, but it's going to be better to have time in between these games. And I think it goes the same for you. Like you're probably going to want a break so you don't go into Elden Ring with already some fatigue of an open world game.
Right. I think they're different enough games where it's going to be an easy enough time, like gameplay wise, to just relearn or learn a new system.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited. We are eating well right now, gentlemen. That's for sure.
I will help you in Elden Ring. I will co-op with you. You can summon me and we will at that point, I will like kill anything in your way.
Nice.
If you need me, me.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of Elden Ring. It's by far the most co-op friendly of any Souls game. I mean, you can just co-op in any old direction you want. Very few limitations.
That's
so
cool.
It's going to be very easy to facilitate that.
Yeah.
Do we know if it's cross-platform with that?
I don't.
That would be my only thing because I'm gonna get the PC for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
All right.
From Software doesn't seem too interested in any of that.
Yeah.
So you'll get the PS5 version. Great.
I don't think so.
No. Right now,
I play it on my Steam Deck, man. Like that's true. That's like half the reason.
Do you know if it's compatible? Didn't they come out with like the little icons for the compatibility scale?
Yeah,
right.
It was fully compatible day one, because I think they probably pushed that to be tested and make sure it works really well. So
yeah, it's looking like the Steam Deck has a lot of great day ones, right? Like
exactly. Yeah.
When you talk about like the best console launch titles, I think Steam Deck kind of takes the cake.
Yeah, that's going to be a weird one.
Yeah, I don't think it applies, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our playlist. Let's jump in then to the top 5 Mario levels. So we will start here after the little break. All right, Morgan, what do you have in terms of Mario levels for us?
Okay, do I start with the honorable mention, or is that like...
Yeah.
Okay,
so we start like honorable mention 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, honorable mention might surprise a few people. I think this would probably be number 1 on a lot of people's lists, or at the very least in the top 3. I got to go with Bob-Omb Battlefield from Super Mario 64.
Very cool.
And I thought about not including it at all, but the problem is that it's just way too iconic. And also, it's sort of like the introduction to 3D Mario, right? I mean, there's a lot of... It's not just like for historical reasons I would choose it. It's not just because it's important, but it's because it's something, I think a theme you're going to see in a lot of the games I picked for the list today is that something that's important to me, one of my core tenets as a platform gamer, is what is a level communicating to you without text? What is a game communicating to you in its language? And every game speaks a slightly different language. And Mario 64 is a lot more technical than maybe the layman might think. There's a lot of nuance to the controls in that game. It's a pretty hardcore game when you start getting really proficient at it. And so having a really nice empty space like Bob-Omb Battlefield with just a few little points of interest gives you a lot of room to really breathe and test your abilities, and also to, frankly, marvel at the splendor of the first 3D Mario. And of course, I mean, it goes without saying, the music is just...
Oh, yeah.
It's relentlessly good. It's way too good. It has no business being that good.
Yeah.
So that I have to go with the honorable mention being Bob-Omb Battlefield.
Yeah, I think that one really, I mean, it kind of followed the same thing as, 1-1 of Mario Brothers, where it's teaching you all these different things. Like, here's a slope and here's a ramp that kind of moves up and down, and you can grab this, and here's a turtle shell. There's all the different things that none of us understood going into a 3D Mario, but it taught us how to do those things. And yeah, it happened on that battlefield. So it's definitely a special place for sure.
Yeah. I just remember walking up to, and you're like, wait, this bomb is not an enemy, it's an NPC, and it's talking to me.
Yes.
Like, what is this? Like, it's so unexpected for a Mario game, right?
Right.
Great pick. Maybe it's because I am elderly, but mine is a first game of a Mario game, but it is that level 1-1 that Brian mentioned from Super Mario Brothers, the original game. I'm just willing to bet that this level taught more people how to play a video game than any other level in existence, right? Especially me. And it does that. The game design as a way of teaching you how to play right from the start. It's like, hey, you need to know how to jump because this thing is in your way. And then it's also designed in such a way that when you do jump, you can hit these blocks. And it's a beautifully designed level that teaches you the ropes. It gives you all the tools you need to advance through the entirety of that game. And it's not without challenge, especially like, think of approaching this as though you had never played a video game. You don't even know what you're dealing with at that point. And it has all the pitfalls to end your game really, really quickly, right? But you adapt, you learn, you understand the mechanics, and it's that slowly ramping difficulty throughout the level that teaches you what you need to succeed. And it's a beautifully designed level. You feel so great when you get that star. You feel so powerful when you get the fire flower, if you manage to stay big without being hit. If you happen to find the pipe that takes you to the underground level, it's like mind blown, right? Like, this is taking me to places I never thought possible. It's the first place you get to hear that iconic Mario music. You get to hear all the iconic sound effects, especially that little death jingle that happens. And it's beautiful. It's one of the best designed 2D Mario levels, in my opinion, just because it was not just because it was the first, but because every single 2D Mario that came afterwards was built on this, right? It was built on these core constructs that are taught to you in this very first level. And I think it's great.
Well said. Yeah, it's
Thanks,
a
man.
great level for sure. So my honorable mention is Special World Funky from Super Mario World. So this was
I remember this,
yeah. So there was the whole star lands that you can go to in Super Mario World, and I forget exactly how you, Morgan, you probably know how to access the Star World.
All sorts of secret exits everywhere.
Okay, yes.
Freaking place.
Right. But yeah, there's all sorts of funky, groovy, tubular. All of the levels are named these very 80s, 90s vernacular. But this one was really cool because at the end of it, it's kind of a regular Mario level, but at the end of it, all of the coins are spelled out at the end, and it says "You are a super player!" 2 exclamation points. And I just remember seeing that as a kid and being like, I am a super player. This is great. I'm playing a video game. It's affirming me that I'm good at this, and I got all the way here. So yes, I am accomplished. And I just thought that was so cool. And yeah, just games never really talk to you in that way. So that was just cool to see.
I mean, yet especially being a kid in the 90s with the internet not being as widespread as it is, you really were a super player if you were doing that. Because
Right.
I would assume that you would just be talking with other people, on the playground about, hey, what secret exits did you find? Or if you were lucky enough to have a guidebook, a Nintendo Power, magazine. So
Right.
getting there in itself was such a feat. So I could definitely understand feelings towards. It might seem kind of maybe it seems kind of small time to modern gamers today to see a message spelled out in coins. It's
Sure.
but it means a lot. It's a lot more than what meets the eye. It has a lot of special meaning for a lot of us older gamers.
Yeah. I think that's true.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you were very accomplished. I did not know about the Star World until a friend told me. So I was
that's how I
a
found.
super gamer.
Oh yeah. See, that was the playground talk of like, how did you get there? Like, and just learning and like, yeah, you got to be in the Forest of Illusion, and there's this one pipe that you may have missed, and it leads to this area. And yeah, just amazing how that kind of word of mouth perpetuated. And I was talking about it previously with Ryan, and like, my brother was very against guidebooks and like looking things up. I mean, again, we didn't have the internet in the same way, but yeah, there was no looking at Nintendo Power to actually like get through things.
Wow.
So yeah. All right. Well, Morgan, what do you have in our list proper here with your number 5?
Let me pull it up. Oh, Super Mario 3D World for the Wii U. Okay, so this game doesn't really get a lot of clout or respect. It got ported to the Switch, which is really good.
Yes.
Because more people really need to experience this game. It's a really special game to me. And actually, this really dovetails nicely with what you were just talking about, the message and the coins.
Mm-hmm.
I got to mention Champion's Road, the final level of World Crown in Super Mario 3D World. It's kind of, picture this. It's kind of like a final exam in Mario terms. Every single mechanic that you have been taught up until that point is given a small little micro section in this one stage. You got to perform all of it, and the margin for error is, it's not unforgiving, but it's very slim. You have to have a mastery at this level to beat it. And it at very, very much the same as what you were talking about with the Star Road and the Super Mario World. When you get to the end of Champion's Road, you get into a little pipe that spells out "thank you for playing" at the very end, and then it shoots you out to the final goal. And I don't know why this is so cute to me. I don't know why it stuck with me as hard as it did. But when it shoots you to the final flagpole, in front of it is every character that you've met in the game, and every rideable character too. Like, even some of the good guys are there. Like Captain Toad is there, Peach is there. Everybody's there, and they're clapping for you as you take your victory lap and walk up to go get to the top of the pole. And I mean, for somebody that loves challenging games, obviously the thrill of playing the level and the challenge of doing it without using power-ups, that has a great allure to me. But also I can see from the other side, if this was like perhaps one of your first Mario games and you happen to do this, because it's not hard to access, you just get all the collectibles, this could really be one of those like keystone moments in somebody's life. They could remember this for quite a long time. And I just really want more people to experience Super Mario 3D World, essentially, at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good title for sure. I had it on the Wii U. I refused to buy it again for the Switch, even though they packaged in Bowser's Fury. But yeah, that's really cool that they did something like that too, to properly reward your accomplishment, right? Like, man, everybody's rooting for me. I did it. It's cool, man. It's very cool.
I remember playing that game on the Wii U, and it just keeps going. Like we thought we beat it, and then there's like a whole other world, and then a whole other world. Like there's so many different levels in that game.
Yeah, so. Good co-op game.
Yeah.
And
a frustrating one.
It could be very frustrating cooperative. Yes, absolutely. Before I get into my number 5, I do want to mention I'm sure you guys did the same, but I chose levels from Mario titles, like straight Mario platformer titles. I didn't go into Paper Mario, or I didn't go into Mario Kart or anything like that. Those are separate lists. I'm sure you guys did the same, right?
Like mainline Mario.
Right, basically. Of course.
I'm a bit of a purist, so.
Yeah. I feel like if any of you did that, I swear to God. No, I'm kidding.
I didn't even pick any Yoshi's Island levels. That's how stringent I was.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, I did not either. So my number 5 is Bob-Omb Battlefield. I think the replayability of the level was astounding at the time. There's like, and then, you have that whole trek up the mountain, right? And you have like, for the time, this like Dark Souls Bob-Omb towering over you, and Mario somehow manages to pick him up and throw him. But it was very cool to see the scale of that enemy, way larger than anything that had been in prior Marios.
And the camera like zooms out to show your whole arena at that point.
Yeah. I just think that you have the chain chomp too, right? That whole trek up the mountain with the big balls falling on you, and how the environment would change depending on which star you were going after. I thought that was really cool too. That's what like I mean by the replayability being astounding, is that you could see things up in the sky, but you can't get there yet until you acquire a few stars. And then all of a sudden the cannon unlocks and you're like, oh my gosh, like I could get up there now. And you get the head wings and you could fly up. And it's just so cool how it teaches you everything. And it was that intro to a 3D Mario game and how those games were going to be played. Like you said,
feel like
Morgan.
We liked that because it taught us. Now we would much rather go back and be like, okay, like I don't need to jump in and out of the level to get each star.
Right, true.
But yeah,
because it would shoot you out the painting every time.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, I'm going to go back in. So, I mean, it's just because we're jaded and like want all of our time. And yeah, but it was definitely, like you said, teaching us at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it wasn't apparent from the castle before that, it was like just drilled into your brain by the scope of that single world, like how incredible this experience was going to be, like what you were in store for and how special it was going to be. Because not only did you see the castle and get to go all the way into the castle and then into this door with the painting behind it. So it already gave this huge scope, but like, wow, inside this single painting, there's this much to do. Like, how many paintings are in this game? This has got to be huge. It
really gets the imagination going.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal level, man. I love it.
That's great. Yeah, good pick. That one is so classic. Did either of you start by trying to throw King Bob-Omb off of the platform? Because that's what I thought you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then he just jumps back up and you realize what you're actually supposed to do.
I didn't have the nerve to try the first time.
Okay. Well, and the game makes it like you move so slowly, so it doesn't want you to do that. But yeah, that didn't stop me at all.
It's funny, like watching it now, it's also like, man, that hurt him. Like, hold on, throwing him, and literally he goes like 2 feet and falls on his butt, and it's like that hurt him enough that 3 times and he's done for. He's like, "Oh, okay, man, I've had enough. Like, give it a rest.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my number 5 is from Super Mario Galaxy, and it is the Seaside Galaxy. So this is basically so that everyone knows how the galaxies work. They're just their own planets, and the gravity, is wherever you're standing on the planet. And this one is basically just a big tube lazy river in the sky. It's just like a big racetrack basically, and I love the water in this game. So Sunshine, we'll get to Sunshine. Sunshine is not on my list in any way, shape, or form because that's a bad game. I couldn't experience the levels.
Stop it, dude! I am right here, Brian.
I couldn't experience the levels.
I'm literally right here
because of the camera. But
you need to stop, dude.
That's a different story.
You're wrong.
Mario Galaxy fixes all those things, and we have these beautiful.
Are you
water
trying
levels.
to hold on? Time out. Are you trying to tell me there are no camera issues in Mario Galaxy?
Not like they are in Super Mario Sunshine. Not in
so strongly disagree. There are numerous camera issues in Mario Galaxy.
Yeah, but we're talking like 10 versus 1,000. So
Sure.
it's incomparable.
I won't interrupt you anymore. I'll let you continue. I apologize.
That's just to get you going on that one. But so yes, I think we can agree that the water in Sunshine is beautiful, but Galaxy, it looks really good.
Beautiful from a distance.
Exactly.
Oh, this is going to be a tough episode, isn't it?
Oh no.
I just want to say listeners know, Morgan, I don't know if you know, I love Mario Sunshine. I love it. I think it is.
You don't have to be polite to him.
No,
Morgan.
I think you don't have to be, but it is among the best Mario platforming games, without a doubt.
It's good. It's just very metal. Like you've got to be ready.
Yeah.
I don't think they would release a game like this today.
No.
No, I agree. Which is what makes it so special.
Oh my gosh.
It really is a microcosm of a different time.
Yeah. So you get to race a little whale in Seaside Galaxy. So that's always fun. Kind of reminds me of Sonic Adventure with their killer whale. I don't know if there was any parallel that they were trying to draw from there. But yeah, anytime there's a beach level or like heavy water level in Mario, it always feels really special to me. It's not on my list, but there's the one beach level in Mario Odyssey that one is really cool too. So maybe one of you will talk about that. But yeah, this one was a really fun one to me. Just seeing it from that distance, seeing like, yeah, it's just a lazy river basically. But yeah, Seaside Galaxy.
Cool. Good pick. Not like Mario Sunshine level. I almost made my list entirely Mario Sunshine levels.
Oh,
and then when I knew my honorable mention was going to be world level 1-1, I was like, I shouldn't do number 5 as 1-2 and then 1-3 and then 1-4, like all the way up the list. But I did a real list instead. So
perfect.
Yeah.
All right. What's next, Morgan?
Okay. So this is perhaps a little weird. Super Mario Brothers 3 World 5 Tower, aka the Spiral Tower. Do y'all remember that level?
Absolutely.
I don't.
Okay.
But...
So when you start World 5, you kind of see do you remember the level in Mario 3 where you're like going in the clouds? Do you remember that part of the game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay,
are
so
you asking me?
Oh, I was asking Brian.
Okay.
So it's like right before that, to get to the clouds, there's this tower that's a little spiral. And when you first spawn into World 5 and you see that tower, kind of sets some like alarm bells off in your mind. It's that old school kind of telegraphing where it's like, well, what is that? I didn't see anything like that before. And so when you think about Mario 3 in totality, when you think about like what's a good level in Mario 3, I wanted to make sure that series got some representation here, but it was really hard for me to pick something because Mario 3 levels are so short that I feel that they kind of weave together, they create something bigger than itself. And so I figured that World 5 Spiral Tower was the perfect representation of this theme because it really shows you a world bigger than you might have initially guessed. It's a very simple level. You just go through a tower castle that you've gone through a million times before, but then there's a twist. There's a twist where you get to the top and it's just gold bricks in the shape of castles. You hit a little block, a little piranha plant comes out, and then that's it. I don't even think there's a boss if I recall correctly. I don't think there is. You just go right up there. And then you're in World 5, but you're in the second part of World 5, Clouds. And it's one of those things that had such a profound effect, I think, when you're young, especially when all you have is 8-bit consoles. It does a really good job of painting a picture, of making it much bigger than it is. And I think that if I were to pick any level in Mario 3 to represent the theme of the game, of this short but sweet, interwoven tapestry. The Spiral Tower really fits the bill for me personally. And, like any Mario 3 level, it's a fun, quick romp. You don't have to stress too much. Even when it gets a little tough, you're almost done anyway.
This is a phenomenal pick, man. I love, like you said, you literally go from top to bottom or bottom to top, and it tracks that way, and you come out on the top. And one thing that adds to that scope is that when you emerge in the clouds, there's a hole in the clouds, and you see where you were below you, like a little miniature through the hole in the clouds of where those ground levels were. It's so well done, man. So well done. Oh,
I don't have any memory of this.
this?
I want to look it up. I feel like I may have just like warp whistled past all these levels.
It's possible.
Yeah. Oh man, I need to look that one up.
I always tried, like, of course, warp whistle. If you want to go ahead and get to the end game quick, you can use 2 of them and do it. There are 3 in the game though, but I always tried, especially during my youth, to play through this game once a year.
Sure.
Like it was, and through it, I mean, every single level along the way. It's a great pick. I think you're right. It's the one that represents this game the best. Yeah.
I had just played this on stream yesterday. I actually, for the first time ever, went through it front to back in like 3 hours, like really quick.
Wow.
That's the quickest I've ever done it.
That's fast. Yeah.
And I was really, it's rare that this happens to you when you play a game where you start to like it more than you remember liking it.
Yeah.
And especially for something like Mario 3, because, when you ask anybody what their favorite Mario is, they're going to say Mario World. That's just the way it is.
Mine's Mario 3, to be honest.
Yeah, but Mario 3 for me as well. And this game, I was trying to figure out, like, well, is it just, my memory playing tricks on me? No, it was the real deal. Mm-hmm. I think it really holds up. I mean, it's kind of crazy for something from that era to still hold up today. It's really a testament to how well made it was, how well designed it was.
Absolutely.
Very thoughtful game design.
It's the NES game that I would recommend over any other NES game. And I actually lurked for a second on your stream, and you were in a water level with the frog suit, and you were like, yeah, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. It was great. You were so excited to have the frog suit in the water level. I was like, yeah, buddy, you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The simple things in life.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. So my number 4, moving on, is a water level. It's the Sunken ghost ship from Super Mario World. So I had to have an underwater level. I feel like those need representation on these lists. They're so iconic to these games and included in every single one of them. This is one of the most unique ones in my eyes out of all of the games. Mario 3 does have that one with Big Bertha that's kind of crazy though, right? That where she like jumps out of the water trying to get you. But anyway, I'm not talking about that. I keep wanting to talk about Mario 3 now. But this plays like just a really well-designed Boo's Castle, but underwater. It's challenging, mysterious, atmospheric. There's the beginning where you're actually going through a ship, and to me it was almost like an homage to Super Mario Brothers 3, to those airships, because you have the cannons firing at you, and the design very much reflects those airships. And then there's that part where you go, you're underwater for a good chunk of it, and it's challenging because you kind of have to like tread water at one part while these boos turn around you, waiting for the opening. Eventually you make it to this warp pipe, and when you go through it, there's just no floor. You just start falling out of nowhere, and it's like so disorienting. You don't know what you're doing. You're falling. There are spikes falling with you. There are enemies falling with you. As you fall, you hit a star, so you're invincible, and there are pickups on the way down. You can get another star and stay invincible. And then all of a sudden you're falling through like this bevy of coins everywhere, only to end at the bottom and splash down in more water. And there's a little question mark that takes you out of the level from there. I think there's actually a secret exit as well in this that will lead you to that world you were talking about before, Brian. But man, I just thought it was so cool, and unlike so many levels in this game, also it was unique to the game. I loved it. I loved everything about it.
I have a vague memory of everything you just described. It's been a long time since I went through Mario World.
Oh, okay. No,
I should do it again.
Yeah, no. I to me, it was a memorable level, more so than so many in that game. So right. I do find it interesting that it didn't stick with you, but.
So I did not like any of the Boo houses.
Right.
So those I just wanted to get through. So I probably was like, all right, let me just get through this. Yeah, this part's cool, but I need to keep moving and get to a level that I like.
I was always into like spooky things.
I see.
So yeah, I grew up in a town where every year they'd have a pumpkin festival, and they like the high school colors were orange and black. So like Halloween was a big deal there. So I always grew up liking spooky things. And at this age in my life, the spookiest thing I could like enjoy playing was these Boo levels. So I did enjoy them for sure. Eventually that like matured into Resident Evil and survival horror games. But at this point in time, this was plenty scary.
Sure.
Perfect entry point.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, boos are scary. Just them creeping up on you. That's terrifying to me.
Like when your back's turned too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like waiting for their moment to strike. It is a little creepy.
Yeah.
There's something scarier to me about the 2-dimensional boos back in the day. Boos these days really just kind of remind me of a plushie. Like when I see a Boo in a 3D Mario game, I just think, oh, I want to have a plushie of him on my shelf.
Right.
When you see the 2D Boos in any 2D Mario game, the alarm bells are going off in your head. Danger, you know?
Right.
Yeah. They do look more menacing in like Mario 3 and Super Mario World. You're right. I think now, like you said, they look just kind of adorable, like all these other Mario characters, right? Yeah.
Adorable and marketable. Most important.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's the most important thing. Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about something truly scary. And this is from Mario Odyssey. And it is the darker side of the moon. So this is the champion's road of Super Mario Odyssey, where you have to employ everything you've learned in this game to get through it. And it is a long challenge. There are so many different things that you have to do, jumping over every single kind of platform. And it's like a 15-20 minute run if you're doing it kind of like as I would do it, I guess, like carefully, but as quickly as I need to. The hardest part of this whole level came at like 80% of the way through it, where you have to like use that fork. I forget exactly what it's called, but you get to do the fork bird thing that can like stick into the walls and then jump. Yeah. But there was just this one part where you have to time it because you could like flip up and you had to go on these rotating things. And I missed it like every single time. And I would have to go all the way back to the beginning. But I knew that this was like the thing. This was the gamut. I had to get through it if I wanted to call myself a Mario Odyssey enthusiast. And I eventually did it. And yeah, I learned exactly the timings, and it was a stressful level to get through, but I feel like I could pick it up today and get pretty far with it, because it definitely makes it so that you know your Mario controls. So did either of you play this one?
I actually don't think I unlocked that. That's extra, right?
You need like 500 of the what is it? It's not a star.
The moons.
Yeah, thank you.
I think I've only played Mario Odyssey once, and I only made it to the ending. I didn't do anything extra after that, so I'll have to go look that one up and try it myself. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun, and there's a dark side of the moon, but this is the darker side of the moon.
Right.
So I did make it to the dark side of the moon, and I almost included that on my list, but just because it is a very stark level design in contrast with the rest of the worlds in Odyssey. Sure. And it's very cool. But basically you have a few little platforms and then you're in a giant carrot and it's a boss rush. So I didn't include it for that reason. There's not really a whole lot to it. It was the reason it did almost make my list is because of how challenging it is. Even the dark side is extremely challenging because you don't have checkpoints in between these boss fights. It's just like, you got to run through the whole thing to make it. But I never unlocked the darker side. I've heard very good things. I don't think I ever will unlock the darker side, but
now I'm going to because of this.
Yeah, there you go. That's cool.
I would suggest it. I had a lot of fun with it, and it kind of reminded me of Breath of the Wild's. What was their DLC challenge thing?
Trial.
Trial of the Sword.
The power of the Master Sword or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So it very much was reminiscent of that for me. So darker side of the moon.
Very cool. Very cool. Maybe I'll go back. It's not happening.
Never.
Yeah, not happening, dude.
Mario Odyssey is a great game to just like pick up and jump around.
I agree. And I loved Mario Odyssey. I loved learning the nuances of all the different jumps, how you could string them together using Cappy, and you really felt like you were onto something. Like you were good at video games when you could string together like Cappy throws, wall jumps, and all this, and scale a building or make these impossible leaps. It made you feel like you were good at platformers, which typically I'm not that great at. But yeah, I do love Odyssey. Like it is a great platformer.
Here's the most important question, Brian. What controller did you use to do this? The Joy-Cons or the Pro Controller?
I used the Pro Controller whenever I could.
It had to be, right?
Just thought I'd ask.
I don't think my Joy-Cons work because they've been dead for so long. I have the Pro Controller. I have the Hori Split Pad Pro if I'm going to play handheld. Those things, they're probably toast at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, wouldn't it be funny? It's on the darker side of the moon, and that platform he keeps missing is because of the slight Joy-Con drift. He has it perfectly lined up every time, and the Joy-Con just drifts a little bit to the left, and there he goes.
All right, let's go to number 3 then.
Alrighty. So Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins, was a Super Mario game on the Game Boy, the original Game Boy. And there was a level in this game that always stuck out to me as being so different from other Mario levels that I was used to at the time. And that was, I had the name up just now. Why did I close it? Star Stage, second level of the Space Zone. Not exactly intuitive, the Star Stage in Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. Not very well named, certainly. And there's not a whole lot to look at when you are looking at it because it's just, it's in monochrome. But what you do have is, I think, maybe kind of a glimpse into the future of what we might see later on in future Mario games. It's not really a platforming challenge. It's more of an experience, a treat. You hold A and you float through this maze of stars that one shot kill you, right? And that's all you do. You just kind of hold A every now and then let go. You hold A, you let go, and it's over in like a minute or less than a minute. And I think that what's so memorable about it, what makes it so important to me, is that the music is it's the best track in the entire game. It is so freaking good. I think that this is something that we would see kind of echoes of in later Mario games. A level not really designed to test you, not really designed to teach you anything per se, but just to be something fun to listen to, something fun to remember. One of those kind of I don't want to keep saying experience. What am I trying to say? The word I'm looking for. It's one of those kinds of theme park. There you go. It's like a theme park ride level. It's like Universal Studios. And it's perhaps it's not the most technically minded Mario level, and there's many more in this game that are harder, but it's one that I'm always going to remember, and I would be remiss to not include it on this list.
That game was way better than it had any right to be.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed it so much.
Same. I actually had it as well, and I thought it was a really cool game, and I liked that you had like the rubber balls. You didn't get fireballs, right? It was like a rubber ball, and it would just bounce like
that was
things.
That was the first Super Mario Land.
Oh, that's what I had. Yeah, well, didn't play this one, so don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm kidding. But it sounds like a great theme park. Yeah. There was another Mario game that had a theme park in it.
Oh, jeez.
Pinna Park from Super Mario Sunshine. Did you guys know? It's not my pick. It's not my pick.
Okay. Sorry.
I just wanted to make the parallel for theme parks. Could you imagine if I was going to pick a level from Sunshine, it would not be that one. If there are camera issues in Sunshine, and that's a big if. That's a big if. That would be where they are.
That was where it broke me. That bubble.
That would be the one that breaks.
Ferris wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to check this out though, if not just for the music, for sure.
It's great.
What would be great is if Nintendo had this game on their Nintendo Switch, one of their most popular portable consoles. But anyway,
it's funny. I should go back and try to emulate it. Or I mean, not that Nintendo.
I mean, you legally own the cartridge, and
of course I do.
Other means to play it. Yeah,
absolutely.
There's a really great mod that somebody made, a Game Boy Color version of Super Mario Land 2.
Oh, that would be cool.
I think it's called Super Mario Land 2 DX. If you want to ever look it up. Basically, it's just in color. That's the only change.
Right.
But
that's a big change.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I might have to check that out. So moving on to our number 3, top 3. We are here. We arrived. Brian already mentioned this one, but it wasn't on his list. It is the Odyssey Seaside Kingdom. This felt like a day at the beach, and I loved everything about it. It had the beautiful coral reefs, that perfectly transparent tropical water, and sweet Mario nipples. Right?
Mario has a toddler body. It's so weird.
It's adorable. It's and marketable.
Yes. The most inoffensive male form you could ever.
Right. Like no hair whatsoever. What's going? Come on, Mario. You know that dude is bristling with Brooklyn. Chest hair. Yeah, exactly. Right. I've seen it. I'm sure he has chest hair. I don't know. Maybe he waxed for his day at the beach. I don't know. But yeah, really cool enemy types. And an homage to Flood. If you guys remember, there were those little octopi in the water bubble enemies that you could put Cappy on, and you could use that to jet across the water and jet up. And you had to use it to get some moons, which I now know are moons, not shines or stars. So, I thought that was cool. It made me feel like I was back playing Sunshine again, which was the point of it. And I'm not with the memeing of Sunshine. I do really enjoy that game, but I thought the implementation here was very, very cool to use because it's tedious to swim as Mario sometimes. And they give you a way to get to where you want to go within the level. That's cool. It had entire hidden underwater sections where you could Cappy fish and give you that ability to swim better than you can. It had an homage to 64 because it had a giant eel there too. It did so many things so well. It had this giant ornate lava octopus boss that was cool to use those bubble water enemies. You use the water from it to basically cool it off, and then you could attack it. And if you just wanted a nice chill day at the beach, there's a volleyball court as well. And moons there to earn if you're good enough at volleyball. I thought it was just a beautiful level and so pleasant to look at. And you don't say that often with Switch games, but this is one where I could literally just sit in the sand and stare out at the water. It was that good looking. And
wasn't it kind of like dusk too?
Yeah. And when you get to those core, well, it wasn't I think it was, about dusk because the sun was
maybe late afternoon.
Right. Late afternoon is how I would put it. But and the coral reefs were so cool to look at too, when you're just treading water at the top and you could look down and see all the beautiful purples and oranges and pinks and this array of colors down there and see all the little fish swimming in there. It was just cool to live in this world. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's one of Nintendo's greatest strengths is good art direction over pure graphical fidelity, and I think that level does do a really good job of doing a lot with a little.
Yeah, I agree.
Totally.
I agree. Thanks.
Very good. All right. Well, my number 3 is from Super Mario 64, and it is Tiny Huge Island. So this is one that I played over and over again. And I think I just loved the concept of it because this was the one where you could go into the world either as a big Mario in a tiny island or a really, really small Mario in a huge island. You just chose which side you wanted to go at the beginning. And I think it was just such a cool thing to see like Mario towering over like little tiny Goombas and just like kicking them around, and then just like jumping up the mountain and then doing it on the other side. And it's like it takes you so long to get through the mountain, and there's just so many big enemies everywhere. And I just love jumping around on the island and making my way up there. And it was reminiscent. I think that they did this in Super Mario Brothers 3 with like big enemies. So yeah, I think I kind of brought that into this game. And yeah, anytime Mario levels are doing this kind of dichotomy, that's so fascinating to me. And I bet someone on YouTube has done like a retrospective on like, well, here's how they did it. Here they shrunk it down and did this and that. But it's just so cool to see something like that in a video game. So Tiny Huge Island from Mario 64.
Yeah, I think it was, definitely a throwback to that Super Mario Brothers 3 world. But I also think they implemented some of that in those new Super Mario Brothers games where you would get the Super Mega Mushroom and all of a sudden Mario's the size of the screen and you're just like Kaiju Mario running through everything. It was, really cool. Yeah. But a great pick for sure.
It's always really important to give the player, especially when the majority of your players are children, it's really important to give them every now and then kind of a bone, to give them that sense and feeling of empowerment. And kind of like the star level before it, and kind of like the Seaside Kingdom, it's not that any of these levels are particularly hard, but you're given these tools to make them so much more than they already are. And I think that's really the special spice that some of these Mario games have over the other mascot platformers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. There's just something there, a little magic, as Brian put it.
Right? Yeah, that Nintendo magic,
magic,
indiscernible.
Yeah. It's real.
It is real. It definitely is.
Well, I think we're all going to experience it again with Super Mario or Super Nintendo Land, the Universal Park. Like that's going to be nuts.
So, have you seen the videos from Japan?
Yes,
I did.
I was just talking about this last episode where it like literally almost made me cry. It's that special to me, and I'm not being sarcastic when I say that. Like this means more to me than Nintendo properties mean more to me than anything else out there.
Right.
Just because it's my childhood, and I think they know the power they have with that nostalgia, but it doesn't retract from the actual effect that nostalgia has on me. So seeing people go through a warp pipe to get into that area and hearing the music, like the sound effects, and seeing them emerge, and it is like the best of all Super Mario worlds there. It's just like I cannot picture seeing that in person.
Yeah.
You know what really did it for me? At the Toad Cafe, they have the cake from the credits of Super Mario 64 that Peach bakes for him. And that's when I was like,
that's crazy.
That was the one that did it for me. I was like, okay, all right, I'm in.
There was a point too where they have the question mark blocks and the person like hits it with their hand and it makes the coin sound. And I was like, oh my God, this is too good to be true. Right. It's too good to be true. Yeah. Very cool, man.
That will be a glorious day.
Yeah, we're going together, right?
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Alrighty. So this was already an honorable mention, but I have a little bit to add, I think. Super Mario Brothers, the original World 1-1. Of course, we know it's the tutorial level for all platforming games. It taught a lot of us how to play video games. I have a very special memory of it. It was my first console game that I owned because it was a hand-me-down. And I was figuring out how to hook it up myself because, nobody around me cared about Nintendo console. And there was this feeling I got. It's something I've never forgotten of plugging it in and hearing it pop on my TV. And it was the select screen for Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. And you selected which one you wanted to play. And of course, I selected Mario Brothers. And kind of like, I guess, a duck to water. Something about it. The moment I held the controller and started playing the first time, I just knew what to do. And it wasn't hard and it was fun. And it was like, it ever felt like a piece of art was made for you? I can understand how people get emotional over games and all that, and how they can form these life-lasting bonds, because there is something somewhat ineffable, somewhat ephemeral about that feeling of being so young and so impressionable and seeing something that is obstinately so simple. There's not a whole lot to Mario, the original. I mean, it's even a Game Boy Color game. I mean, it's everywhere. You could probably play it on a calculator Doom style if you really wanted to. Mm-hmm. But I think that besides just being a great tutorial level, I think it really represents what gaming is and the promise of what it could be in the future. And that's a whole lot to extrapolate from just a tiny little man running across a screen. But it's a really magical stage. And of course, it's going to be in my top 3.
Yeah, no,
I mean, I think it's a great pick. We're all here because of moments like that, and this moment specifically. Like, we all share that exact same love, and it you can't describe it in a way that makes sense to people who haven't played that. And that's just so phenomenal to me to have that feeling that just like you can't put words to it, really.
Specifically, it's why I am so happy that you are here, because I knew you would be able to express things I feel better than I can. And I think you said that so eloquently and hit the nail on the head in the best way possible. And I don't think it's a crazy thing to extrapolate either. I think it very much showed you what was possible with video games. Everything I had experienced prior to that was nowhere near what that first level was, and it very much displayed like, wow, this can be something very special. This as a whole, gaming as a whole,
it expanded the whole world of games, really, rather than just some disposable thing. Because I think something that's important historically for context, maybe for any younger listeners out there, is that I think especially for us growing up in the 80s and 90s. There was a lot of people around us that were just like, oh, he's just playing games. It's stupid.
Right.
Yeah. And it was like this throwaway form of entertainment. But Mario and level 1-1 kind of shows you, no, there's something here. If we could only just explore a little bit more, and expand from here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really glad you bring that up. And I not to go on a tangent here, but it is a tangent, so I will. Yeah, like 80s, 90s, playing games was a subculture. It wasn't mainstream. And I'm not saying like, look, I'm freaking punk rock, dude. I was, but like, I'm not anymore. But like, I mean it was not as socially acceptable. Like, you were kind of an outsider for being a gamer. You were kind of a nerd. I mean, that is how media portrayed people who played video games. And I think you bring up a good point. Like, that could be lost on someone who started playing in the 2000s or later, that, we've come to a place where it is this social norm, but it wasn't always that. And to love something so deeply and have it be another thing that like keeps you outside of certain social groups, you obviously like, you have to make a choice, right? And I'm very happy I chose video games. And I'm glad I stuck with them too, because now it's like really cool to play video games.
Well, I think the internet has connected us all, and it makes it so like, oh, you're not so weird for being really particular about liking this one level of a Mario game.
Right? Yeah. Like, I mean, when you designed your own Mario levels on graph paper as a kid, like, you were the weird kid. But like, if you release something you designed in a video game, like for a video game or fan art for a video game now on the internet, people are like, wow, that's incredible. You do great work, It is just cool that we've made that turnaround. I'm very happy for it.
Right.
So yeah, there's my tangent.
No more hushed tones.
Right.
Do you play games? Yeah, I play games. It's like, then we're cool. Then we're friends. Doesn't matter if I think this guy's annoying. Like, we play games. We're friends now.
Yeah, we can play games together. Exactly. Like, it's funny too, because even if you did have a friend group you played games with, you didn't necessarily like talk about it at school or anything. It was more like after school, you'd be like, hey, you want to come over and like play some Mario 3 or something? Right? Yeah. It's funny.
Man, I had some Super Mario sneakers when I was in kindergarten, and that's how I met my best friend, and Pokemon led me to other friends. Like, that's so cool. That is how I've met like these long-lasting friendships. I mean, that's how I met Ryan. Just talking like, yep, you got a Zelda shirt on. Like, let's start talking.
Oh, yeah, Zelda shirt. Look what I got. Hold on, my hair. It's Bowser.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Perfectly themed for this episode, no less. I am not wearing a Mario shirt, but I do have some. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it did the same thing. It earned me my friend groups, and I'm very happy for that. But it's, it's different when you're a kid too.
That's true. Yeah.
When you're like made fun of for the thing you enjoy, right?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But anyway, we won't get into all that. There's a lot of trauma there. I am not bringing that to the surface. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, wow, number 2 already. Sorry for the tangent, everybody, but I appreciate you sticking with me. My number 2 is actually right before that spiral castle that Morgan brought up. It is level 5-3 from Super Mario Brothers 3. This is by far mostly known for Karibo's shoe. Yeah, to me it is the most interesting power up in any Mario game ever. You don't even lose your current power, which any other power up you get in this game, it replaces what you currently have, right? This doesn't do that. You just nestle with whatever suit you're wearing into this little boot, and the bottom of that boot is impervious to literally everything. And it's such a perfectly designed level for that mechanic. There are those little chompy plants that would kill you in any other situation, but you could just walk over them with ease, like bounce right over them. And it's adorable too, because like if you're little, you just have Mario's little nose and eyes sticking up from it. And you get to, stomp with glee piranha plants that normally you can't stomp on. And you get like this unrealistically huge leap off of them if you hold the jump button when you hit them. And it's a joy to move throughout this level using that tool, and you can't take it with you when you go to exit the level. Because I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, can I make it through the whole game with this boot on? Wouldn't that be great, like to be champion of the boot? And then as soon as you go to exit the level, it disappears, it's gone. And I don't think it ever comes back in any other level. It was like this one level you get Karibo's shoe. And I had to include it on here because I just think this hasn't, to my knowledge, been done in any other Mario game where it's like, here, you get this tool. It's an awesome power up. Go have fun with it. This is literally the only time you get to use it the entire game. And the level is designed very well just for this one mechanic. And that's it. You're done. You never see it again. Enjoy the rest of the game. Go on your way. And like, I found myself going back to the game just to replay this level and being so pleased every time I like hopped in that little boot, and it felt like home. It felt cozy, right? Yeah, I think it's just such a cool level. It stands out more so than almost any other Mario level for that reason.
I feel like Yoshi must be wearing Karibo's shoe then, because he can walk over the same kind of things, right? He might be
wearing 2 of them. Did we discuss on a prior episode? I know we said the saddle is a part of him, right?
Yeah.
He's born with it. But the shoes he's wearing are not Karibo's shoes because they're technically just his feet. He is
I have seen, I won't say where, I have seen on the internet.
Don't even tell me. I hate feet, dude. Don't tell me this. Oh God.
Green toes, green feet. Shoeless Yoshi.
Oh God.
That person, whoever drew that, is wrong because he hatches.
It was the creator of Yoshi. I mean, what are you gonna do?
What do you mean? He didn't draw Yoshi feet. He is not a sicko. Dude, Yoshi is hatched with the shoes on. Therefore, they are not shoes that can be taken off. It's just a part of his anatomy, right? Yeah. Can we agree on this?
I just hate that the saddle is part of him. I hate it. Just say it's a saddle. No one's asking about the saddle. Just say it's a saddle.
But is it a shell? So now there are theories it's a shell, right? Like maybe it's a tiny little shell that sits on him.
He can fly in Mario World, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's like one of those Koopa shells with the little wings in it.
Right. So I think they're not shoes. We have confirmed Yoshi does not wear Karibo's shoes. He is just hatched with extremely dexterous feet.
Don't ask Yoshi about his feet.
Don't ever bring up Yoshi's feet ever again on this podcast, dude.
That would make a really great gamer tag for somebody out there. Yoshi's I can't say it. Yoshi's feet. Somebody make that their Nintendo ID.
Could you imagine? I think that'd be great. You're right. That would be so funny to see. Oh man, what's your gamer tag? Yoshi's feet.
Everyone will immediately know.
Well, then you know.
There's something wrong with this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Oh geez, this is not what I expected. I didn't expect this episode to go in this direction.
It's not even that he just says Yoshi's feet. He says it and he looks at you. He goes,
yeah.
He goes, Yoshi's feet.
Oh.
Yeah, right. Oh no. Oh man.
All right. Let's get to my number 2. It's the Metro Kingdom from Mario Odyssey. And if you rotate the camera just enough under one of the people on the roof, you can kind of like glitch the camera and see their feet through their shoes.
Stop.
And it's my favorite part of the level.
Oh, I thought you were going for like some upskirt thing. I was like, what is Brian about to say? Like, oh,
this is only feet. Okay. But yeah, no, for real, Metro Kingdom's a fun level, a fun kingdom to go into. There's so much stuff. This is like a GTA map almost, because there's so many buildings, there's so many people walking around. There's that, like, I want to say it's like a subway kind of area where there's just like hundreds of people walking through, and you as Mario are just like this cartoon character walking among them. You get the mopeds that you can drive around and take up all the way to the top of the building and shoot yourself off. And then we get that awesome Pauline singing, just like performance. The whole level is like building up, getting these players their instruments, and then you just get this awesome song that plays while you're doing like a awesome platforming Donkey Kong level almost. And I just remember just like tapping my feet, playing that level, turning it up, and just like enjoying that entire sequence. So it feels a little weird to say, but like Metro Kingdom is all these things. And I would spend hours just like jumping around on the buildings, trying to get to different areas. This was one of the best levels to do the Luigi's balloon hunt on.
Oh yeah.
There were a lot of cool things. People cheesed this like crazy. I think I was just like starting the level and there was just, there's a balloon underneath the world. How am I going to get to that? So that was kind of frustrating, but yeah, just so many aspects of this level were so much fun. Yeah, Metro Kingdom.
So when you're collecting the musical instruments, the music builds with that instrument added every time you bring one back. It was so cool to experience. It wasn't there like a little RC car section too, where you like run into a guy using an RC car and you'd have to like take over the car, right? Am I?
Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah. It was cool. Very cool level.
Sorry, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, you've done this before. Stop dying.
I know.
I actually really like that level too. I actually really enjoyed that level as well because there was one star or moon. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I've done it.
There was one moon that was very simple to get. You just see this guy sitting alone on a bench. And if you walk up to it and sit next to him, he says, nobody's ever just sat next to me like this. Take a moon. And I was like, that's the kind of attention to detail I like to see. It is a big, it's a big city for a Nintendo game. It's a big city. And I like that in a way, it's kind of like, what would a Nintendo Mario true open world be like? I bet you it would be like that. I bet you there'd be all sorts of tiny little details like that you'd see a YouTube compilation of, no doubt. Go over here to see this unique interaction,
Right. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's very memorable.
Yeah, and it's funny because it feels lived in. It feels like a city, which these are typically you don't get to interact with people, like real people in Mario, and there are real people in this level and real vehicles, and it seems so out of place to put our world in a Mario game, but that is what this level did, and it was cool.
Again, it was like Sonic Adventure, we just have real people kissing Sonic on the mouth, and that's great.
Chaos.
If you talk to Pauline after you beat the level, she talks to you about how getting kidnapped by Donkey Kong in the original Donkey Kong game was kind of a traumatic experience, but she felt like she grew as a person afterwards.
Really?
That's what led her to becoming mayor of Metro Kingdom.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, that's pretty cool, actually.
I was like, wow, dang, we're even tying back Donkey Kong into this.
Right? And like hitting some like really deep themes for Mario, like sitting next to someone on the bench and they're just happy to have the company. That is like really cool for something you wouldn't expect from a Mario game, right? A little bit deeper than what you would expect. Yeah, good pick, Brian.
And Mario's just along for the ride. He doesn't know what's going on. He
doesn't say anything. He's like the most clueless man on earth, right? I'm assuming he's on Earth for this level. So
yeah. All right. So number 1, take it away.
Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. Mario's Castle. And that's the stage where you go to dethrone Wario from your castle. This was a detail I was not clear on when I was a kid. I thought it was Wario's castle in that game. It's Mario's castle that Wario has taken. He's taken your castle. Why does Mario have a castle? I was always so endlessly confused about that. But anyway, the level itself. If you've seen any of my streams, any of my YouTube videos, then you kind of know that a running thing that tends to happen when I play these games for hours and hours is you hit that wall at a certain point where something is so hard that you just don't even really understand how to progress. Where it's not even like gamer rage anymore. It's just this like silent kind of like, okay, we need a new strategy. And I think that this was the first time when I was a kid, this final level of Super Mario Land 2, this is the first time I was faced with this kind of reality. Because it was at that point, it was in the 90s, the hardest platforming challenge I'd ever undertaken. And there's only one checkpoint towards the end. So the majority of the level, when you die, you have to do over again. And a lot of your power-ups are just not that helpful. The bunny ears kind of, but I mean, there's so many different mini bosses and obstacles and instant death pits that it's like, it requires true skill, but it's not even just skill. That's a misnomer. When I say skill, I don't really even mean skill. Something that I say a lot on any of my content is that to be good at a platformer takes not skill, but determination and patience. And this is where the rubber hits the road when you're a kid. When you're playing this stage, just dying endlessly like a kid will do, that's when you really have to start actually being a little bit introspective about what you're doing and saying, okay, I have to stop here. Oh, okay. I have to stop and wait. I have to actually think about what I'm doing. And it was through sheer force of will of playing it over and over the course of a week when I was a little kid that I finally beat it. Now, obviously, it's not really that hard in hindsight, but it's always had a special place in my heart for being probably the first stage I can remember of any video game that was so difficult that I had to do a whole mind readjustment, a whole shift of my thinking, That's why that's, to me, the best Mario level, personally, in my opinion.
Such a cool pick. And you know why it's easy now? Because that was the first point where you stepped up your game. And you have stepped up your game countless times since then. So going back, it's like, man, I have improved,
It's growth.
It is. It's cool, man. Very good pick. So I have a theory as to why Mario has a castle. He saved the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, Princess Peach is his girl. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess they're not married, but I'm assuming he at least like is able to sleep in her castle.
It's complicated.
It is. It's probably complicated. So maybe it was like incorrectly titled Mario's Castle when in reality it's Princess Peach's castle that Mario kind of sleeps in sometimes.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that's the thing too. It's Mario's castle. It's a scary castle. It's got thorny piranha plants that shoot fire. It's got lava. It's like, why, Mario? What are you up to in here?
Right.
You know what it is? I just came up with it. Lore. It's Mario's training room.
Oh, that's
Ah.
In between adventures, Mario puts himself through hell and back
That's
to toughen himself for the next battle.
Yeah.
I like that actually. It's like the
It's his
X-Men in
gym.
the danger room, right?
Yeah, it's like the danger room.
Yeah, that's very cool. I like that a lot.
Wario turned the safeties off.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's why he stays fit. He's always ready for the next adventure. Yeah.
Oh, and how could I forget? I'm sorry, I forgot to mention Wario. You fight Wario at the end of the game.
Yeah.
This is Wario's first appearance in a Mario game. And he acts very much like he does in the Wario Land games. He uses your power-ups and it changes his form. And I'm really glad that Super Mario Land 3, they decided to branch off in a new direction, get Wario his own series. Because from the get-go, yeah, the sprite work on Wario is a little weird. It doesn't look quite right at first, but I think that it was very clear that there was a lot of character there. And I'm glad that Nintendo took what could have been just a bit player in this game and made him into somebody that, people love or love to hate,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's still here, right? And a big presence in all the Mario titles. So yeah, very cool.
We wouldn't have had Waluigi either without this. So.
That's true. That's true. The true dynamic duo, Waluigi and Wario. Yeah. Very good. My number one, and I want you both to know this is a very genuine number one. I am not just memeing Sunshine again.
Oh, geez.
But my number one is Delfino Plaza. And I think it's the best level in Super Mario Sunshine.
Is it a level?
Yes, absolutely. It's a level. It is a hub. It is a hub world, but it is a world.
Okay.
It is the level that interconnects all other levels. There are boundless secrets to be discovered in this one area. There are little barrier islands you could go out on. You eventually discover Yoshi in one of the towers. Spoiler alert. You unlock all the worlds from here, and it is almost a puzzle on how to unlock those, how to get the proper tools to move forward. It's the first time you run into the little fake Mario, Bowser Jr.'s little paintbrush Mario. And the majority of the story unfolds there. There are sewers that you can go down. It's multifaceted as far as the levels go. You go all the way up to a tower as well. Things are so well hidden that there's an overhang. You can get inside the buildings, first of all, which is really cool and not something a lot of games did at the time. And you have to find some of the shine sprites that are hidden in this area. There are also there's a little overhang, and as you have to stand on a boat as you go under it and use FLUDD as a rocket to shoot up under the bridge, because there's a hidden level down there that you would just never see unless you combed over every inch of this, which I did. I think it sums up Super Mario Sunshine and what the best parts of that game are in a single location. It's awesome to look at. It's incredible design. You feel like you're vacationing on a tropical island, and it just is also woven together so well that it makes you also feel like this is a world I'm vacationing on, because you could see some of those worlds you go visit in the distance. Not the ones you step through fighting. Yeah, some of them you step through a painting almost to go through. It's not a painting, but it's the M. Yeah. But you could see Pinna Park from here, and then you get in the little cannon and it shoots you off to there, and it's just it maps your progress well. You have that big shine in the middle that slowly gets less and less dirty, and Delfino Plaza gets more and more bright. The sun comes out more and more the more you clean up the island, and it really maps that progress well and makes you feel like you're accomplishing something as you go throughout the game. It's by far the most memorable thing. When I think Sunshine, I think Delfino Plaza. And I love
great
Sunshine.
music.
Yeah. Sunshine's not my favorite game, but this is my favorite Mario level out of all of them. I don't know what else to say. It's just
it's definitely the best hub worlds.
Yeah.
It takes what
right,
we love about Peach's Castle and improves upon all those things too.
Yeah. All the fruit vendors. and how you have to like use those fruit to solve puzzles. And sometimes the fruit is easy to carry or cooperates really well with you. Other times it's like the hardest thing to move around that map you've ever like had to play with in your life. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
I like Delfino Plaza. That's about the only thing I like about Sunshine.
What about what was the one with the beach? Serena Beach? You didn't like that? That was great. I thought it was like a little ode to like Luigi's Mansion. You go to the haunted hotel.
Oh, I hated that one.
Really?
Oh,
you had
God.
the big like the big stingray that came out on the beach that like you had to defeat.
Yeah, that was awful.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I thought that was so cool, man. So cool. I really like and then what was that other the docks that were the first level almost made my list because I think that's another great one where you kind of like, you know, go hand over hand climbing the cages on the docks and you get that giant squid, the blooper that you have to like pull off his arms and like whack him in the face with them. Yeah, I think that's a wonderful world design as well. And it even has like a hidden area where you basically jet ski to, and you got a little jet ski race in there. But we're talking about Delfino Plaza. But I just think like I think that it's not a solid argument to say the levels in Mario Sunshine are bad. That wasn't the first level. Sorry, the docks one's not the first level, but the first level is great in this too, where you do that little water slide down to the village, and you have the wall that separates the other half. Like I think that's a wonderfully designed world too. I think this is the game that doesn't get enough credit for what it does right. People focus on the one thing it did wrong,
which was make a terrible camera that
it's not terrible.
I had to fight the entire time.
It is only terrible in very specific instances. I think nobody had to fight the camera the entire time they play. I think that is made up, and I'll go on record saying that. Yes, there are moments where you have to fight the camera, but it's when you're in like tighter spaces, right? Which isn't the entirety of the game by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay, Ryan, I'll play it. Let me buy it on the eShop and I'll finally get to it.
But that should have been my game for this year's predictions.
Wait, I can't do that anymore because Nintendo took it away.
That's right.
So
Nintendo said no.
Yeah.
Before we move on, Ryan, are you ready for me to ruin Delfino Plaza for you forever?
Oh no.
Oh,
Tarnish it in your memory?
Does it involve Yoshi's feet?
No, God, no, not that of that nature. God,
okay.
Heavens, no. Listen when we're done tonight. Listen to Delfino Plaza on YouTube, and then go and listen to the Motel 6 theme song. Type in Motel 6 theme song on YouTube and just listen to them both back to back.
Oh no!
I will.
This is ominous.
No. Yeah, I like that music though. It's like that.
And when you get on Yoshi, it like it has some extra parts to it. Yeah.
Let's just say that there's a hotel in America that is Delfino Plaza, basically.
Oh no!
It looks like that.
No, it's just the music, and it's just a seedy, disgusting, normal motel. But it's the same exact music. It's the most bizarre coincidence.
Isn't Motel 6 though? We'll keep the light on for you.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one.
Very good. So getting to my number one, this one is because of the music. It just shoots up so high on my list, and it is Mario 64's Dire Dire Docks. This is a great level. So we get the eel, we get sharks, we get manta rays, we get just a big chasm of water that you just get to swim around. I think though, really, like truly, that music. I don't think they understood what a magical symphony they were creating when they made this music, because that just elevates this entire level for me. The atmosphere is really phenomenal. I think Mario 64 especially did this a couple times in their levels where you really feel like this is a real place. It's got a mood to it. It feels like a cave with moisture to it. I think Hazy Maze Cave did another.
I was just thinking that when you said that.
We talk about Yoshi's feet. You're mentioning moisture. Like, what is going on this episode, dude? Can we just not?
That's fine.
Yeah, Hazy Cave was good though.
You're bringing up Mario Sunshine. Doesn't Yoshi like spray juice everywhere every second he gets a chance?
He sure does. He sure does.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I think the atmosphere really sold it to me. I remember the first time like entering this world as a kid and just because it's kind of barren, you know, when you're starting and it's just like, oh, there's a bunch of water in front of me. I'm in a cave. There's nothing much else around. And then you just dive into this whole undersea world and there are caverns that you can explore. And just like, it was terrifying to encounter these huge sea creatures that, I mean, this game did it one of the best ways. And you get to learn that you have oxygen from coins, which is
right.
great.
Yeah.
So, but just I think the atmosphere, that music really setting that tone is just a fun place to play, even though you are swimming a lot, which like Ryan mentioned is not always the most fun thing to do.
Especially Mario 64.
Mario 64, it's not great.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, you can get that turtle shell and kind of jettison around. So yeah.
I just wasn't there like a half sunken pirate ship in this level as well?
Uh-huh.
So every game, the one that comes to mind is like Skyrim, but every other game where you dive underwater and explore some sort of a sunken vessel makes me think of this level. Every single one that I played since that moment brings me back to Mario 64.
Sure.
Yeah.
I remember the Skyrim one you're talking about.
Yeah. But it's like, it's so funny. It's like, man, like this is Mario 64.
Right.
I'm back in that moment. Yeah.
You know, a cool little detail about Dire Docks, before you get, I think it's the first star, the very first time you go into the level, there's that mist effect over the entire level. Once you get the first star, you don't see that ever again. It's gone. And then it's just open and it's clear. The mist is parted. I think that it's a really small detail, but I think it's really important, like you said, to build atmosphere, to make these places feel lived in, but also to make them feel like they have a story all their own, even though a lot of that is stuff that we would have to fill in the blanks ourselves in our imagination.
Right. Elden Ring is good at that too.
Yeah.
Just got to bring it back to Elden Ring.
Oh, jeez.
There are like surface areas in Dire Docks as well. I know you have to like traverse one of the sides of that chasm, right, to go do some platforming to get to a star.
Yeah. There's a whole cavern where it's just those red things you can climb on, where you can kind of rotate around them. But yeah, it was between this and Hazy Maze Cave. I think that one does a lot of cool things. You get to meet, I think it's Dory, that kind of sea creature, like Lapras looking thing.
That's right.
Yeah, a lot of cool things there. Music is top notch on that one too.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
You know, they changed her in the Super Mario 64 DS version. She has goggles.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
She has gigantic goggles. I don't know why. She's already a sea creature.
So I mean, that's true. Isn't that the same creature that's in like Bowser's Fury that you get to ride around on?
That's the one from 3D World.
Okay.
Her name is Plessy.
That's right. Okay. So that's a
different
person.
Different color. Because the one in 64 was blue, and right?
Yes.
Yeah. Man, you know, it's funny, like thinking it's because we did talk about Elden Ring, but thinking about all the times that has surprised me and I just seen things that I can't believe like are put into a video game. Mario 64 was that. It is one of those all-time greats, right?
That's
like,
a generational game.
Back to the first time I saw like Little Lapras was just like mind-blowing to me. It's like, wait, like how is this giant cave underwater? Like there's water in this giant chasm underground that you just stumbled upon through Hazy Maze Cave, and like all of a sudden you see this like sea monster there, and it was like, where am I? How did I get here? What is this thing doing in my Mario game? And yeah.
That's really a feeling that a lot of those 90s games have, the liminal spaces where things don't really quite make sense.
Mhm.
Oh, sure.
One tiny area. How could this creature be here? What is this place? It's this, and this really weird, obscure feeling that you get as a kid when you play any of these, especially the early 3D games when everything was very obscure. I mean, very abstract. Very abstract, I need to say.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, even like the eel in Dire Docks, it was like, what is this? Like, why is this giant eel coming to eat me right now? It was,
and we all have that shared fear now and later in life.
We do.
Well, that's it, guys. Those are our lists of the top Mario levels. I learned about some new ones that I had not seen before. But yeah, those are some good ones. Mario levels are freaking awesome. So I was glad we were able to do this list. And thank you so much, Morgan, for coming on the show to impart your knowledge on this one too, because there's some good games out there and some good Mario levels to go with them.
Well, thank you for having me. It's platformers are a pretty big passion of mine. I love them. And Mario, of course, is the top one for a very good reason, obviously. Right. I mean, we all three had come from different backgrounds and probably not exactly the same point of time, 80s, early 90s. But it's interesting to see how the same series with all the different games have all differently, they've all touched our lives and enriched our lives, but also shaped us as gamers in very different and unique ways. And it's one of the fun things, one of the most fun and rewarding things about talking about games is hearing the stories that other people have. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your stories, man.
Ryan, do you have questions? You always have a little quiz.
We'll get into that. We'll go through. We'll get into the questions and we'll get into our mission debrief.
Okay, that sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. Well, I guess I have to start with the questions since Brian put me on the spot.
Hey, that's the thing. Okay, these guest episodes, I think we just I don't know who goes where and what goes.
I'm the same way, man. Yeah, no, I roll with it. We're very good at rolling with things.
Yeah,
I think
that's
we do well. And I do have to say, it's your job to put me on the spot, and I will put you on the spot every damn time, Brian. Every time, and I expect you to be ready.
Okay.
But Morgan, my question's for you. Tell us about your stream. Tell us when you stream. Do you have a set schedule?
So Monday through Friday, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Intergalactic Pinecone. I guess I consider myself a variety streamer. There's no way I'm going to be able to swing it and say I'm a Mario or platformer streamer when I'm over here spending 10 hours a day on some Elden Ring. So I'm a variety streamer. And I put the discussions and highlights on my YouTube page, which you can find on YouTube just by searching Intergalactic Pinecone, in case you don't have time to sit there and watch me bash my head against a wall in a platformer for 5 hours in a row in the middle of a work day.
Yeah. I have to say, as you could probably tell for listening to Morgan for the last hour and a half, he is a very good speaker, and he always brings up very good subjects and always provides very good insight. So I would highly recommend following him on Twitch or YouTube, like subscribing on YouTube, I guess is the thing.
Yes.
Because if you don't have the time to catch live streams, which not everybody does, I am guilty of that as well. You could always catch up on those VODs or VODs, as the young kids say. And it's definitely worth it. They are always entertaining, man. I love catching that stuff. You do a great job, for sure.
Appreciate it.
So I guess your favorite genre is platformers, right?
Yeah.
So do you like the Gex games?
Dude, Gex is misunderstood. Gex has become the butt of a joke. There was a time when Gex was supposed to be a killer app the 3DO. Yeah. And it just, obviously didn't pan out. I don't like what Gex eventually became, but if you go back and you look at Gex on the PS1 and the 3DO, there's some really great ideas there and some very different imagery than you might expect from a 90s mascot platformer. Like the first world in Gex is because they're all based on TV and movies. Mm-hmm. It's a haunted house world or a graveyard of some kind. How many times do you see World 1-1 where it's not a happy grass area. It's
Right.
ghosts and ghouls and skeletons and what have you.
I think being a child of pop culture, that is why I really appreciated those games. And I bring them up on the podcast and get lambasted regularly for it. But like, no, like they paid homage to like everything I loved about pop culture, TV shows, movies, like you said. And yeah, it's good to have somebody who appreciates that on the show. Thank you.
X64, maybe not as much, but the original Gex, it holds up. How about this?
Wait, hold on. Let's go back to this.
I'll compromise.
Okay.
I'll compromise. Enter the Gecko, not so much.
Right. Okay. I will agree with you. There.
Well, but also, I have a bias against 3D stuff anyway. So
right. I understand.
I'm a 2D guy.
That's pretty cool. So out of that, I guess, I'm not going to assume Mario's your favorite, but do you have a favorite 2D platform series? And if it is Mario, what's your second favorite?
My favorite is Donkey Kong Country.
Oh.
And I think they're all better than every Mario game, but only for a very specific reason. You have to be a very specific kind of person to think that. You really need to be looking for the razor's edge of platforming, but not where it becomes like Super Meat Boy.
Right. Not
where it becomes ridiculous. Where there's a balance that you need to get where it's within reason. And I think Donkey Kong Country as a series, even the new ones by Retro, they all fit that mold of being very hard, almost in the back of your head you think impossibly hard, but as you work through it you see that it's not so bad. And there's the same way that Mario is helped by its graphics, by its environments and its music, I think Donkey Kong Country is as well, especially the first 3 games on the Super Nintendo. Obviously they had a huge impact on people. Yoshi's Island on the Super Nintendo was supposed to look like Donkey Kong Country, but Miyamoto saw that and he changed it to its current art style. I think that it's very forward facing, that series, and it hasn't aged even a day, because I went back and actually streamed all 3. They were the first games I streamed. I went through all 3 back to back in a couple of days, and it's the same thing as Mario 3 actually, where I thought to myself, man, this is better than I remember. This is some good stuff right here. This is grade A platforming at its peak. And in fact, I'll go one step further. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze by Retro Studios on the Wii U and the Switch, I think is the definitive best platformer of all time.
Wow,
that's really good.
Excellent. That is excellent. Yeah. So of the original 3, do you have a favorite?
Number 2, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest.
Yeah.
Do you like 3?
No.
Oh man, see, I loved 3. I loved 3 for like that hub world aspect. I think there were a lot of cool secrets to be had there. But yeah, I think that totally the levels didn't hold a candle to 2 for sure.
I think that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, just going off of what you were saying prior to this, I am happy that they chose a different art direction for Yoshi's Island, because it does set these Donkey Kong Country games apart, and they're their own thing, and they stand apart, and they should. They should.
And Yoshi's Island heavily benefited, of course, because now there's nothing that looks like Yoshi's Island. So it worked out for everybody involved there.
Yeah.
What was I going to say before, though?
I don't know, because I
Donkey
interrupted
Kong
you.
2 and 3.
Donkey Kong 3. Okay, so I did play through Donkey Kong 3 just a few days ago. And I don't think it's bad necessarily. I think it's still good, and it still leagues above many other platformers. But it's kind of at that point where I think Rare had got their hands on an N64 development kit, because it's pretty clear that their eye wasn't really on this one completely. And actually, there's a cool Easter egg. If you go into the save room over and over, eventually it will be the Mario 64 castle theme. Because this game came out after Mario 64, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of levels where it's not strictly about the platforming. And that's what kind of that's what rubs me the wrong way about Donkey Kong Country 3. There's a level where you're picking up barrels and trying to find mice in a maze to open up a metal door. It's like, I was playing it and remarking like, well, this isn't really what I signed up for, is it? This isn't really that interesting. It's still a great game in its own right. Just it's hard to follow up something like Donkey Kong Country 2, though.
Totally.
Yeah. So speaking of Donkey Kong Country, I know what he's going to say. He's a fan of Donkey Kong Country. I know this will work out in your favor, Brian.
Okay.
But Morgan, do you think Funky Kong is a biker or a surfer?
In Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, he uses the surfboard the entire game. So he has to be a surfer, unless he's some sort of poser.
Right. That was my theory. That's my theory because he looks like a biker, right? Doesn't he?
Well, also he lives secluded on Kong Island. He might not be anything. He may be just a liar. He may be a fraud.
That's true. He could be both, or he could be a complete fraud. I like that. Like the possibility of him being both is out there, but you're just like, no, he's a fraud. This dude is an imposter. You need to watch him at all times.
All of the other Kongs are fraud. Isn't there like Swanky Kong, who's just like a game show guy? Like he's definitely a fraud.
There are some crazy Kongs out there.
Yeah,
yes,
like, they really got into the reeds with them.
Kitty Kong, Lanky Kong.
Yeah.
Who was the other one in Donkey Kong 64? She wasn't Dixie. She was a different character. What was her name?
Tiny.
The hot one, right?
Tiny.
No, we're not.
No, I'm just kidding.
She's like a kid.
I'm kidding. Oh, the kid one. But there is like, isn't there a Kong that's supposed to be like
Candy Kong? You're
Candy
thinking
Kong.
of.
Yeah, which is
right.
What? This is such a bad idea. Oh man.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I just love how Wrinkly Kong, like, stop calling me Wrinkly Kong. Like, can we call me something else? Was she that at birth?
Right.
Her fate was predetermined.
Yeah. I don't have any more questions. Do you have any more questions, Brian?
Inverted or not inverted?
Not inverted.
Oh man. Okay.
My man. So yeah, I would ask if you think Super Mario Sunshine is a good game or not, but we won't go there. I think we've covered enough Sunshine in this episode.
It's good.
It's good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good.
Do you want to just, you mentioned your Twitch stream. Is there anything else you want to do to plug yourself before we get into our mission debrief here?
If you ever want to know what game I'm about to play, then you can find me at Ask the Pinecone on Twitter, Ask the Pinecone. You can also email me, askthepinecone@gmail.com. I used to use that for inquiries for other things, but I guess now it can just be like my general contact information if you want.
Yeah. Is your podcast, I mean, I know you don't produce new episodes, but is it still out there?
Yeah, it's still out there.
So I would recommend people go listen to it. If it is out there, there's some really great episodes in the log, the backlog there. Yeah. But without further ado, I say we get into our mission debrief. I'm kind of stealing the hosting job from you, Brian. I hope
it's okay. You get the quiz part, so it all goes hand in hand.
Okay. So, Morgan, is there something you'd like to recommend to our listeners that is outside of gaming or gaming adjacent, or even just a video game as well? It could be.
Let me get this a little closer to myself. So I don't really. I'm one of those guys that has been getting out of comic book movies, kind of, and comic book TV shows. You know where I think it really started to slow down for me with the Black Widow movie, and then with the Loki TV show, and then with the Hawkeye TV show. So I felt like I was done. So I thought I checked out. But then I saw everyone talking on Twitter about Peacemaker. And I was like, will they just shut up about this? I don't care about this stupid. But you know what? I kept seeing it with such repetition from so many different people across all sorts of different beliefs. So I was like, okay, I'll look at it. From episode 1, I was hooked. Like, they got me. James Gunn really does know what he's doing. And it's sort of crazy, the coup that DC has made here, getting him from Marvel. Because I think James Gunn's probably the most talented one that was working for Marvel. And this Peacemaker TV show, I don't even know who Peacemaker is. I don't even care about DC Comics, but watching the episodes, I care about these characters now. And it's the most understated thing about comic book movies or media in general. The writing has to be good. The writing is the very most important. It's the foundation that everything is built upon. If you don't have good writing, it's impossible for me to care when people are making things go boom and explode. And there's a lot of extreme violence and sexuality in Peacemaker, but the only reason it moves the needle for me emotionally is because these characters are very well acted and written, which I think is what's missing from a lot of current mainstream media.
Yeah. So my mission debrief is Peacemaker. I'm not joking.
Nice.
I wish I could share my document with you. I've mentioned it before on the show, but I finished the series now, and man, if you want to know if it's the type of show you might be into, watch the intro, and what an earworm of a song, right? Like, oh my gosh, it's so good. But honestly, that's not going to give you an impression of the show itself. Go with what Morgan said, because that is a very good impression of what the show is about. I think the coolest thing about it is that you don't expect these acting chops from John Cena. And man, did he impress me throughout this series. And just the amount they go into the personal trauma that characters experienced. He is called out at every turn for his beliefs and called out why they're incorrect. And I love that like every character in it is a real person. Like they're not afraid to call anybody involved out on their crap. And it brings up current real life issues in the world, dealing with race, among other things. And, family trauma, abusive parents. There's so much real emotion there that it's all told with this undercut of humor that offsets it. And it would seem like they wouldn't work together, but it's that writing that you mentioned that just weaves it together so well. And yes, hyper violent. Yes, lots of F-bombs. Like if you're sensitive to that sort of thing, you will not like it. But if you go in open-minded and you're okay with those two things, I have little to no doubt you'll enjoy the show. It's a wonderful, wonderful series. And I really hope he does more. I agree. There are some super big surprises throughout the series too, just that you don't expect to occur. And it's always a treat, man. I left every episode smiling, like thinking what a treat, or at the very least invested with what was happening and concerned about what would happen next. It's funny. I wish I could share my document with you so I could show you. Like I had Peacemaker on here. So I'm glad that you said the same thing. Not only are we both playing Elden Ring, we both seem to enjoy Peacemaker. So
sorry for stealing your thunder.
You didn't steal it at all. You didn't steal it at all. I think it's good to have a second person talk about it. And it shows that like, hey, I'm not the only one recommending this. Like this is something you should seek out and enjoy. Yeah.
Is this the same character and everything from that Suicide Squad movie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would recommend watching that first if you haven't.
Yeah.
That is a good movie.
Does that happen first? Like
Yes.
Canonically? Okay.
Yes. This
Gotcha.
happens.
It's also kind of important for his character development.
I see.
Exactly. And this happens not immediately after, but within weeks after that occurs. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Cool. I have heard a lot of good things about this show, so maybe eventually I'll check it out. So, well, my mission debrief is a little movie called The Kingsmen.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if either of you have watched it or are familiar with this series of movies at all.
I love the Kingsman movies, and I've been wanting to watch this one.
Yeah.
Familiar, but I have not watched it.
Okay. So this one's really good. I would put this first one's the best for me. Second one's really good. I would put this one above the second, honestly.
Wow, cool.
It's a prequel, so it's very different. I don't think there's any characters that are shared between the first two movies and this one. But that's fine because there are all sorts of new characters. It's set in World War I times. So it's very different than what we were getting with the modern times of the other two movies. But it shares the same DNA through and through. It's that very kinetic, up close action where things are very shaky and fast. And we get nice, energetic music at every single fight scene. The movie moves very quickly. I mean, it goes over very like high level World War I tactics and who's fighting who and whatnot. But it's just a really fun movie. We get some cool characters with Rasputin, I think is a standout villain in this. But there's a lot to love. And I think if you liked those first two movies, you're absolutely going to like this one. And probably, I think depending on how you liked those movies, it will probably sit pretty high within that pantheon.
Yeah, I love those first two movies. I think in some ways, in some moments, the second one was better than the first. I do think the first is a better film, but I think the second one had these like incredibly choreographed fight scenes. Like It started off with one right off the bat that was like, oh my gosh, like wow, this is incredible. What's going on here? I love those movies. So I will say, I forgot to mention Peacemaker is streaming on HBO Max. If you're interested, As is the
Kingsman. That's also on HBO
Max.
Oh,
hey.
Yeah.
I have no excuse.
Yeah. Watch this movie. Yeah. I would say you'd benefit from seeing the other two movies because there's some through lines between the two. But if you wanted to just watch this movie, it acts as a prequel. So you would, if you wanted to then go watch the other two, you would kind of see that through line going all the way. So
I actually know what you're talking about now, because my fiance and I were watching a YouTube video, and the commercial for this was a Rasputin fight scene. That's what the commercial was, just a fight scene, but they didn't say what the title of the movie was.
Oh.
and so me and her were like, well, what the hell? Like, what is that? So how do we see that? So well, now I know. I'll have to tell her about that when she gets home tonight.
It's a really cool fight. Yeah, there are many of those moments in this, but that one is definitely a high point. And Ryan, you'll know the music that they pair with these like really big fight scenes. I think they have Freebird for the first movie in the church.
Yeah.
Like,
right. Oh my gosh, dude!
It's
that
so
first
exciting.
movie in the church that church scene in the first movie is like,
it's insane.
It's one of the best fight scenes of all time, in my opinion.
I would absolutely echo that for sure.
Yeah. It's funny, like, Rasputin's that you could just keep going back to as a villain, right? Like, wasn't it Hellboy 2? This obviously, like, I just feel like so many movies have used him. Anastasia, right? Exactly. Yep. Which had like one good song, but it was a great song,
right?
It's like it never gets old. Like, oh, we need a villain. Well, let's just make it Rasputin,
right?
It's fine. Works for me. Now we have a period piece.
Exactly. There's a lot of World War I stuff, and it kind of gets into, I don't want to say like Band of Brothers feeling, but almost. I mean, there's some tugging at the heartstrings moments in this movie. So, but the others had that too. So
why would you say Band? I could. All right, we need to end this episode because I want to talk about Band of Brothers now.
Oh man.
Anyway, we'll leave that to the side.
Yeah, probably good.
Yeah.
All right, well, that'll do it for this week. So that was some good Mario levels. Thank you so much again, Morgan, for joining us. I love hearing about all this, your plethora of knowledge on all these different games. Check out the streams. I did, and had a good time with that.
I really appreciate y'all for having me on, and it was a lot of fun to talk about platform. Anytime you're alive to talk about platforms is a great day. So I'm having a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks again, man.
All right. Well, next week we do have a show, I believe.
We do.
We'll bring that up here.
I think we have another guest episode.
We do. Yes, it is another guest episode. So we will be joined by Pixel Project Podcast.
Pixel Project Radio.
Yeah. We're talking about our top 3 games that we wish we could play for the first time again. So
I have to do some brainstorming for this. Yeah, we'll have both of them on. Yeah, Ben and Rick will be joining us. Pixel Project Radio, and even though it's only 3, like, this is going to take a lot of thought for sure.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to be 3 awesome games just by virtue of this list. So
absolutely,
that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching, and we will see you next week. See ya.
Bye.
Yoshi's feet.